Good morning, Jeff. This is Pete in his usual mode, getting things done. So anyway, what follows is sort of an oral version of my business plan. And I've talked with Dan about this in terms of the veterinary end of it and the market analysis therein. But what I want you to do or think of is I want to start with the end in mind. And the end is to preach the gospel at all times and, if necessary, use words. And so last night was one of the wonderful times that I'm looking for a delightfully mundane life. I want to keep the anxiety that Nancy feels about all this out of the equation. And I promised her and I promised me that I would make money, and up until now I haven't done it. It's kind of like people have said, Pete, if you're so smart, how come you're not rich? So the goal is to make money. So I want to begin with the end in mind, with a delightfully mundane life. And ultimately what I'd like to do is sit here in my office and read pathology slides. So you'll see with this DVD, I've got plans for immediate source of money, which are two, and they're kind of stones that are in keeping with Steve Covey's First Thing First, where he's got the seminar where he says it's time for a quiz. He reaches under the table, pulls out a wide mouth gallon jar, and he sets it on a platter, and he puts in these fist-sized rocks, and he says, okay, is it full? And then everybody says, yes. And then he says, He reaches under the table, pulls out a bucket of gravel, dumps the gravel in, and shook the gravel, and it fits around the big fist-sized rocks. And he says, is it full? And now people are a little hesitant, and he reaches under the thing, pulls out the sand, dumps in the sand, and now people, he says, is it full? And finally he pours in rocks. So pours in water. So you can get a shitload of stuff in the thing, but you got to get the rocks in first. So what I've got are the stones, and you see immediate money, and then intermediate, which might be a long term, but really what I'm shooting for is this pathology stuff. So the immediate money is the at-home pet euthanasia. It's kind of like when I'm with you and Carla and Moonboy. It's a challenging thing. I want to be a resource for veterinarians, and I want this through veterinarians, so I don't want to compete with them. And it's a little tricky that way because the money for veterinary practice is a discretionary part of people's income. Everybody's competing for the clients with a high socioeconomic status, and I just don't want to mess with that. So anyway, the second thing is actually laser therapy, and again, the issue is the conventional practice of veterinary medicine involves having to take your cat or take your dog, go into the vet, and the laser therapy is something that's a hands-on thing, works well, but I'm proposing to do that as sort of an at-home thing. The longer term, and I sent you the email that I sent to the guy about leeches, but the pond out here and back is actually a licensed fish farm. And so in that stone of the aquaculture, you see the leeches, which are something that, because of all the credentials I've got, I can sell medicinally, and I can assure that they're free of the particular xenogenic, or zoonotic, but any viruses that might transmit between leeches and people. And my son's a vascular surgeon. Anyway, leeches, but also as bait, and I love the fish. I love things that smell like fish. So and then one of the other ideas would be to sit at farmers markets and sell organically raised trout or some other fish. And then finally, the long term, and really what I'm shooting for and what I think I can get money for, is to get training to be sitting here in this office with my microscope and be over the web kind of an international histopathology. And Dr. Oberschlag feels that there's a great market for fish and fish pathology, and he has somebody who does this for koi. I doubt that our cheapskate Ken Laudoff would be interested in paying money for doing koi, but it's a big business fish. And also backyard chickens. That there's a lot of the kind of granola bunch that are raising chickens now, like Bob Elko is doing it, and I know you guys did it. And chicken pathology is really something that chicken medicine, you can't go sticking your stethoscope. What you do with people with chickens is you kill a chicken, do the pathology, and I need a lab and stuff to do that. Zebrafish, I don't know how familiar you are with genetic engineering, but historically that's been done with mice. And what's occurring now is kind of a sieve process in which what's going on is that you can do all of the pilot work in these little tiny fish that are called zebrafish, and so you can make mutant fish. And if that is successful, if your gene thing is successful, you can narrow it down and do it in mice. So you need people to do zebrafish. And then in addition, one of the untapped markets out there are primary investigators who are doing what are called preclinical work. It's part of the whole pharmaceutical industrial complex. And what these individuals do